And you're very welcome back to episode number 6 of our women's rugby podcast here on FinalWhistle.ie. Delighted to be joined again by Stacy Hanley from Galwegians and Aimee Clarke from Railway Union. Another busy weekend for you two guys with action. Did you get up to anything else exciting bar the action on the rugby pitch?
I got up to I brought a girl to the playing on Sunday, brought her to the hospital. She dislocated her elbow. It was literally, that's how your elbow's supposed to be. Hers was like that.
Ooh.
So really exciting.
Gross. I watched our junior girls played against Tuam on Sunday in the Connacht League final and lost. So Tuam did 4 in a row, I think. Yeah.
They're just a great side in Connacht, Stacey, and probably still knocking on that door to try and come up to AIL level.
Yeah, they definitely are. So there's still a chance for them. Like, they're still a really young squad, so we'll see what they're like again next year, the year after.
And I know you had a fine bump on your head after the Bows game. But it's nice to see that's gone.
It's basically gone, just tiny little lump. And I think Bevan's okay as well. Hers was a lot worse. Hers was like a tennis ball out here. Oh. So yeah, but I don't think she's concussed. I'm not. I
was going to say, are you?
No, I thought I mightn't have been fine when I was on the pitch, and then I looked up and saw her head, and I was like, I'm actually grand.
I'm soft.
Yeah. Oh, no, all good, all fine, nothing wrong.
A hard-hitting weekend of action, and Aimee, I think, are you still catching your breath after that amazing try against Wicklow?
I'm looking for inhalers, defibrillators, an extra lung. I'm after leaving me lungs up on that pitch in Wicklow.
I have a few inhalers I can lend you.
we need CPR. I'm in bits.
We will touch on that try, one of 2 that she scored in that game, of course. As we talk about the Railway results, I suppose we'll go in and we'll discuss. Might as well just start with yourselves, Stacey, the Galwegians game. Bows winning 34 points to 7, and we'll just take a look at some of the highlights from that one. UL Bohemians made it 13 wins in a row with a 34 points to 7 win away to Galwegians in Crowley Park. Though the margin was not always reflective of a competitive contest, as Bows needed a strong second half to pull away. The visitors opened the scoring through Chloe Pearce, but Galwegians responded well when Sinead O'Brien crossed for their try, with Gemma Lees converting to level matters after Avani Donica converted Chloe Pearce's try. UL Bows edged ahead through Lucia Lynn's first try to see them lead 12-7 at the break. The second half, however, belonged firmly to the Limerick side. Lynn added her second in the 49th minute, while Steph Noonan, Grania Burke and Clodagh O'Halloran all crossed for tries as UL Bows pulled away to seal a strong bonus point win. Full highlights of this game are available on the IRFU YouTube channel. The winning run for UL Bows continued at the weekend. I suppose, Stacey, it was a fairly rough and tumble opening half. Like, it was fairly close. Bows took the lead, then Yee hit back, and then Bows hit back just before the break. But they just kind of hit a different gear in that second half.
Yeah, it was fairly back and forth for the first half. Obviously, then they just got ahead just before half time. But I think we. Once they got ahead at half time, we just acted like that was it and just let them off then. So I think it's like we had a meeting there before training yesterday, just trying to pinpoint what it is, because it seems to always happen once our heads are down. There's nearly no coming back. So I think it's just that being so close to the top 4 and kind of wanting to do better than we did last year, we probably put too much pressure on ourselves and expected too much of ourselves, and then when things weren't going our way, we let it go. We let it go further away from us. So it was a hard game. Going into it, we were really, really hoping that it would be close, and we really only have ourselves to blame for that.
But I know you can take an awful lot from it as well. Bows are notoriously tough, and you would have known that, and you would have seen it from that game down in UL. But I think you can still kind of put the heads held high. I suppose last year to this year, there's just a massive difference from the league table perspective and performances as well.
Exactly. Yeah, we were trying to kind of note that in our meeting on Tuesday, that I said it, I was like, you'd swear we were, on the verge of relegation by like the kind of just the atmosphere in the room. So I think just because we had such a long run of losses, we forgot like what we can do and the wins that we have had. So it's just kind of our aim for this weekend is we decided we're going to just like let the shackles off, like no pressure, and just try and enjoy playing again. And hopefully with that, like we'll get the wins.
Yeah, and I see Amy's dogs are trying to get her attention and keep her preoccupied. But from the Bows' perspective, Aimee, like 13 wins in a row, the confidence that they have at the moment is just unbelievable.
And like rightfully so, like it's backed up, they've won 13 games on the trot, and won well for majority of them as well. Especially with losing the people that they've lost. Like I know we say it as well, like, but like I think Sarah's gonna have a real big headache when it comes to the Celtic Cup girls being released back to squads, because to be honest, from what I watched from the Norwegians games, there's nobody that I'd necessarily take off the pitch and swap, like everybody was fantastic and they were lucky enough to have Lucinda and stuff back. But I think they scored one or two tries off them all. Bows are just so strong in that 5 meter channel, like that 5 meters between the try line, and they're like that for me is the worst time in a game, because they will pick and go and be just so clinical, and they won't come away from that area without getting points on the board, and if they do, it's going to be a very, very hard fought battle to get them away from it.
And the likes of Chloe Pearce got the scoring on the way. You've Grania Burke that can come on. Clodagh O'Halloran got a try, and even Steph Noonan made a little bit of a break from close range. Like they have really, really good ball carriers, Aimee, that could get those scores. And while maybe they didn't get a breakaway try or go out wide maybe on a couple of occasions, they just have those heavy hitters that if they can camp 5 meters out, they know how to get over that line.
But even at that, I think they got held up twice, was it?
Yeah.
Twice that I seen. Even from getting held up, they just, as soon as the ball was kicked back to them, it was foot back on the throat as well. They were just straight back in, like.
Yeah, and like your defense, like you defended really well for a grand majority of the game, Stacey, and like I was just saying, like Bows pack, like they're just monstrous when they get going. I suppose from the perspective then of like the Galwegians players and obviously the Connacht links, like there is Connacht links in both of those teams. Is it strange when you have the interprovincial kind of rivalries at club level, the likes of say Clare being in there and a couple of other girls as well?
Yeah, it is. It's like when you know how they play and how good they are when you're coming up against them, you do worry sometimes. And like it was Clara and Aimee Clarke were unreal in the backs, and then like obviously Lucia there on the wing was so hard to stop. I think our own Sinead O'Brien did really well in defence and attack on the wing, and she was the one that got over the line for us in the first half. If we could have kept that up, it would have been good. But yeah, it is like I always think, like even at training when I'm coming up against my own girls, I think I feel more scared there than I do coming up against people that like I wouldn't be, coming up against every week. So like when you are playing teams with players that you have played alongside and you know what they're capable of, it can be in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I have an interview with Sinead going up on the IRFU website this week. Might be up on Thursday when this goes out, or it might be up on Friday. But like her story, I won't give too much away in the article, but like her story is great. Like, and yeah. But like I suppose she touched on, there's a lot of younger girls after coming into the squad, and maybe girls that were put into the deep end last year when you had so many injuries and players away. But they've blended in with those experienced players, and now those girls that are in their, late teens to early 20s are really putting their hands up for selection.
Yeah, they have. There's loads of young girls, and they are really putting their hands up. There's no lack of confidence really with them, and it'll just be probably a year or two when like they really, really come out of their shells, and it'll only make the team better.
Let's move on to the action from Wicklow. Amy's been waiting to talk about her amazing try from this game, so let's take a look at those highlights. Railway Union continued their winning ways as they recorded a 10th straight win with a 31 points to no score victory away to Wicklow in Ashtown Lane. The visitors laid the foundations early with tries from Caoimhe O'Sullivan-Roach and Caitlin Kelly inside the opening 12 minutes. Aimee Clarke crossed twice in the first half, with Heidi Lyons converting 3 of the scores to give Railway a 26 points to no score lead at the interval. Wicklow defended stoutly in the second half and limited Railway's opportunities, but Emma Fabi eventually broke through after 50 minutes to round out the scoring and secure a deserved shutout win for the Dubliners. Full highlights of this game are available on the IRFU YouTube channel. So there we have it, not 1 but 2 tries by our own Aimee in the opening half. Railway winning 31 points to no score against Wicklow. It was always going to be a tough game, Aimee. You mentioned it last week, going down to play Wicklow in their home patch. And while you built a very solid foundation in that first half, that second half was, fairly even between the two teams. And Wicklow might be disappointed not to have done a little bit better.
Yeah, they would have been. They had us down on our 5 metre a good number of time. I think we just kind of held steady with our defence, and sure, the try that you're talking about for me, that's like I'm on the try line, I'm on our try line, and it's a scrum that we just held up the ball or whatever. I can't even remember what we did, but it was just very lucky and fortunate to bounce the ball for me to get that try. So I think our discipline kind of let us down. Like, we really let Wicklow get into it. Like, a lot of their position on the pitch came from our just messy play and lack of discipline. But if I was Wicklow, I'd be very upset that I didn't come away with points on the board. But I'm Railway, so I'm delighted that they didn't come away with points. But very frustrated at the second half, to be honest with you as well. Like, it wasn't a good performance from us. Like,
yeah, like, because they were attacking in the lead up to your try, and you see the ball goes in for the scrum, and Chloe just it's a clearance kick.
Yeah,
it's just, okay,
it was supposed to go to touch. Yeah.
We're going to try and relieve the pressure, and it's just, one of the Wicklow players, she tries to go for it. It just, I don't know if it's the conditions, if the ball was just greasy on the day, that it looked kind of mucky.
It was a wet, heavy pitch. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the conditions, but I suppose from your perspective, you just have to go for every ball. You just have to chase it, and it just goes into your hands, and you're just zoop straight away and over that line.
All I could think of is, I just hope nobody tackles me. I just hope no one tackles me. I just hope no one tackles me. But yeah, really. But that's a game of rugby. It's a game of luck, and it's a game of inches. And if the ball had been an inch backwards, she would have caught it, and if it had been an inch the other way, I would have missed it. So it really is. It's a pure game of chance, and that's what that try was. Like, completely against the run of the play, and we were just very, very lucky to get it.
And in the second one, you go over again in that kind of similar corner, but it's, you're obviously on the attacking side on that occasion, but you just you managed the game really well in the first half, and good to see the likes of, I suppose, Heidi getting a few more points. Like, she's the top scorer in the women's Energia All-Ireland League this year, and like, it's her debut season, but she's done really, really well, and some of her goal kicking on Saturday was unbelievable.
It's fantastic. But like, she puts the work in. Like, every training session, she's out there 15-20 minutes before, and she's putting ball to boot. Like, so, like, of course it's gonna kind of work out. And she comes from I know our brother's a footballer and stuff, so she has a good place kicking from, I suppose. Well, I'm assuming she played with her brother when she was growing up and stuff. But she's got a fantastic boot, and I'll be really, like, I'd say in a couple of years or a couple of months' time, she'd be putting them on the sideline and knocking them off from the sideline like it's nothing to her,
Yeah, like, I know Andy's obviously gone into that professional soccer setup. When I spoke with her, she kind of said she didn't give soccer a go, but she's definitely got in touch with him with the whole professional side, having gone into, I suppose, the Leinster setup, and dreaming of Ireland 20s and trying to progress and the international scene. But yeah, she's an absolute quality of a player. But from the Wicklow perspective, as Amy's mentioned there, Stacey, like, they'll be disappointed that they didn't get points on the board. But from your perspective, with the league positioning at the moment, you'll be happy that Wicklow didn't grab anything with the way that the weekend had panned out.
Yeah, like, Wicklow are on our tails on the table. And we really want to hold fifth. Unless, like, Belvo lose, I'm not too sure how many games. We're kind of stuck at fifth. It's out of our control. So our eyes are really on what Wicklow do now, I suppose, just to make sure we hold where we are. They will be really disappointed though that they didn't get on the score sheet. Like, they probably could have used the width and their backs a bit more. They have really good backs there. Like, they had Nisha O'Reilly full back, Erin McConnell at 9 and Beth Roberts at 10, and then Jamie Church as well in centre. Like, they're all good, like good ball running and scoring backs. Like Erin McConnell's well able to snipe. And when like there's the strong forwards like Rachel Griffey making massive carries and ground, it does create space out wide. So I think if they just used the width a little bit more, they would have got maybe that 1 or 2 scores just to kind of change the dynamic of the game a little bit. But like, I'll like sympathize with them or empathize, whichever one it is. The scoreline, like, it's really similar to kind of what we did against UL, just that we did get that 1 score. So like, even then, I suppose, like, looking at how Galwegians have come and like the way the scores used to go previously against UL, Wicklow can probably come away from that game like with some positives, that again, it wasn't an absolute runaway. The scoreline wasn't, you know, in the 70s or the 80s. 31 like to nothing isn't the worst outcome. But yeah, like, getting a score would have been a nice boost for them.
Yeah, like, I know Wicklow have had some tougher days, be it home to Railway or away to Railway in the last couple of years, but I think they can hold their heads held high. And you look at the league table, like, there's 25 points left to play for now in the season. You're obviously 18 points behind Belvo now going into this weekend. Wicklow obviously 1 point extra in terms of the difference between the two in the league table. So there's a lot of points yet to play for. Obviously, you'll play Wicklow at the second last round of the season. They're going to have to play Belvo as well. So like, the games over the next few weeks, Stacey, are going to really tell a lot to see kind of who's going to be that 4th, 5th and 6th. And you've kind of Ennis that are slowly gaining momentum as well. We'll touch on their result in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, like, it is getting to that stage of the season where like you've kind of solidified your spot on the table, and now it's just kind of a case of holding on, I suppose. Or, well, for us, it's kind of holding on for the likes of like Wicklow and Ennis, who are just below us. They're trying to push, and it's these few games like that they have to win to get to move up in the table. So like, we'll know as well, like, that there's that pressure on us, that those teams are fighting for our spot. But again, like, we still, I think, have to try and take the pressure off ourselves and just go out and play the rugby we enjoy, and hopefully stick where we are at least.
Absolutely. And while, you know, the likes of UL Bows got their semi-final spot secured at the weekend, another team that are in the semi-finals are Blackrock, as they continued their winning streak. And here's some highlights from their game away to Tullow. Blackrock College made it 12 wins in a row as they defeated Tullow by 60 points to 0 in Ratho Road, scoring 10 tries in total. Megan Thornton opened the scoring early on, while Sarah Farley and Ella Durkin added further tries as Blackrock built a 27 points to no score lead at half time. The lead was increased when Trinity Todd crossed twice before the break, with Abby Moyles converting one of the scores. The Dublin side showed no let-up after the interval. Farley and Durkin both completed braces at either side of the half, while Nikki Gibson, Hannah O'Connor and Lauren Farrell McCabe all added tries. O'Connor also impressed from the kicking tee, adding 3 conversions, while Moyles added another in the second half. Full highlights of this game are available on the IRFU YouTube channel. So a 60 points to no score win for Blackrock. They looked very, very strong, Aimee, from start to finish. I suppose they got a couple of tries down the wing, some nice pace shown, and I suppose good ball carries as well throughout. And Tullow will be disappointed not to have, I suppose, put a score on the board. But Blackrock, and another team that look really, really in good form as we hit the business end of the season.
Yeah, I think Tullow will be disappointed, but I think they should be fairly proud of the result that they got. Like, if you look at the results that they, like, Blackrock were getting against them, like, there were higher results than that. So I think they should be proud of how they played, I suppose. In terms of Blackrock, yeah, lots of speed, and look, I think they were doing Tullow were trying to clearance kick it, but it was going in the hands of Ella Durkin and going in the hands of Sarah Farley, and just gone. Like they just have pace to burn, like, you know. And they're really, really strong carriers. And if you let them get that 5 meters where they start to build up the pace, like it's like a train going through you, you know. Like I've been unlucky enough to tackle dorks and stuff, and trust me, like it's not when you get up quick from, like, so but I think in terms of how Blackrock are playing at the minute, it doesn't really look like they're playing with any kind of system. And I don't know if that's just because they're playing against a team that was a bit more of a scrambly defence, where they kind of wanted to play on top rugby and offload games. But from bits and pieces that I was watching, it looks very much one out runners and kind of just poking through holes. And it'll be interesting to see when the Celtic Cup girls come back and when they play the top 4 teams or the other top 3 teams, whoever, how their attacking will change, or will it stay the same, and when they still try to keep that on top rugby, and how will that on top rugby go when you're getting shut down in the tackles. So I'd be curious to see how they go for the next few weeks, just in terms of their own attack and defence.
Yeah, like the speed they had down the wing, like, was just mesmerizing to watch. Like Tolo try and clear their line, and it's just going into the hands, and it's just a bit like yourself, just zoom straight
Yeah,
for.
just gone like a hot knife through butter, straight away gone. Like
It's just, and that's probably just great to see from their scoring perspective as well, that they can have those, you know, those moments of, if we can get, you know, a little bit of space out wide and we can get the legs going, that we have those players. And I know that they didn't have Andrea Murphy on the wing this weekend, but they have those other players that got on the score sheet that can come in. So from a depth perspective as well, Aimee, like, that's just great for any team, I suppose, when you're coming into that you mentioned, you know, Bowes having a head-8 selection when the Celtic Challenge girls come back in. I think Blackrock might have the same.
I think they'll be in the same boat, to be honest with you. I think like the likes of Tash being leaving and going over to England and stuff with Brittany, I think she's a big loss for them. I know she didn't really play too much with them, but even when she was playing with them, like, she was just fantastic, and she has a great knowledge about that backfield. But Dirks played with Ulster for years, and I was lucky enough to play Celtic with her as well, and she's phenomenal. And when she's in the backfield, all you can hear is her talking to her, talking to you. So, but what will happen when the Blackrock girls come back that are there, you know, like these people that are playing, like Nikki Gibson has been phenomenal, like absolutely phenomenal for Blackrock, and I think she's scoring majority of the weeks. And Emer Corey came back this week as well. So you have these players coming back, and these players that have put their hand up, that, like, if I was in Niall's position, like, again, my head would be melted. Like, and what a privileged position to be in as well, to have your head be melted over all these talented players to pick, you know?
Yeah, like Trinity Todd gets 2, Sarah Farley and Ella Durkin both getting 2 as well. Like, it just showcase, I suppose, how strong Blackrock are at this moment. But from the Tolo perspective, then, Stacey, like, I suppose they've learned a lot of hard lessons since they came up to this league. They've fought really well. Like, I think I would agree that they can hold their head high after this result. They've had a lot worse results against teams like Blackrock in the past, and they didn't make it easy for them by any means of the imagination. And I think going into the latter half of the season, now they will want to try and get some points on the board, with relegation, I suppose, knocking on the door as well. But they've learned an awful lot of lessons that they can take into these final 5 games and say, no, we're going to try and turn the tide and get a much needed result on the board.
Like 100% Tolo can hold their heads high. And that's kind of something even that came up in our team meeting that we had, is like, just look at the attitude of the team. Like, it really, really is not easy going out every weekend hoping that that's going to be the win, that that's going to be the game that changes everything. So they're like resilience to do that. And it is the same players coming out and doing that week after week, that you can only admire them, I think, for the fight that they do put in. And they are fighting. So, like, for the next few weeks, they really probably are going to target just getting that one win, just coming away with one win. And, like, you would really, really love to see it for them, just because of, like, the heart that they've been putting into being in the competition.
We will, of course, see them, I suppose, the latter half of the season. They'll have the likes of Ennis. They'll have, you know, a couple of other teams, obviously themselves, and Cooke will be the big one that we're going to have to keep an eye on, because if they can win that game, they'll jump Cooke, depending on what way the table and the way Cooke perform. And like from the Cooke perspective, they'll probably be disappointed with how their game with Ennis transpired at the weekend. And here's a couple of highlights from that clash in Shawsbridge. Ennis produced one of the performances of the round as Aimee Donnelly's hat-trick helped them to a 31 points to 27 win over Cooke in Shawsbridge. The visitors struck first through Donnelly after 20 minutes, but Cooke had already signalled their attacking intent with early tries from Taoiseach Murnigan and Molly Boyd, Amanda Morton adding a conversion. Aimee Hassey's try and a second Donnelly score just before the break saw Ennis take a 19-12 lead into half-time. Alana Fowdy crossed early in the second half, and Megan O'Connor added the extras for a third time to stretch the Ennis advantage. Cooke refused to go away. Murnigan grabbed their second of the afternoon before captain Megan Simpson powered over to set up a tense final quarter. Morton converted and added a late penalty to put Cooke ahead by a single point, and with the home side pushing hard to see out the game, it was Donnelly who had the final say, completing her hat-trick with a decisive score in the 78th minute to secure a vital away win for the Clare side. Full highlights of this game are available on the IRFU YouTube channel. So Ennis snatched it at the death, a 31 points to 27 win. Like Cooke thought they had it, but Ennis, I suppose, we've just talked about resilience there, Stacey. Like Ennis just showcased what they could do, and like Aimee Donnelly getting that try right at the death, like that was such a huge momentum boost for a team like Ennis.
Yeah, like Aimee was brilliant for them throughout. She got the hat-trick, and it did look like Cooke were kind of sealed the deal with Megan Simpson's try in the 61st minute, and then I think Amanda Morton kicked a penalty as well. So they were ahead for nearly like the guts of 20 minutes at the end, but Ennis just never gave up, and it paid off for them, and they were able to get that try in the 78th minute and seal the deal. So Cooke will be so disappointed. That's probably the one of the best results they've had, and they will be really disappointed that they didn't hold it out till the end, I think.
Yeah, like I suppose that was a result that kind of could have gone either way. I suppose when you looked at coming into the game, we said that Ennis had gotten that result down in Ennis against Cooke, and we're obviously looking to put points on the board, but Ennis have been very, very strong, Aimee. They've showed, I suppose, what they're capable of, and we said that Shawsbridge isn't a great place to go to. Cooke can make it very, very hard on teams, and it was like that for a grand stretch of the game. Cooke had kind of gotten those scores early. Ennis had to come back, did build a lead by half-time. Cooke roared back into the second half, but real good determination from Ennis to get over the line. And despite being the newcomers, showed the experience of a team that have nearly been in this league for a number of years.
I'm sorry, I lost you there at the end.
I
was like, are you still talking or what's going on? But I think I got the basics of what you're talking about anyways. Ennis are playing like they've been in the league for years, and it has me thinking, like, if that's a team that's after coming up now, what other teams are there as well, like if like the final last year was between Ennis and Barnhall. Like if Ennis, and I think it was a fairly close game, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. I can't remember what I had for breakfast. So but it has me wondering now, is there more teams like that are going to be coming up, and like will we start seeing a massive shift in teams coming into the AIL now that it's kind of like the competition is getting a lot closer, like it's inching closer and closer together. When I first started playing, like the jump between Leinster League One and AIL was like astronomical, and now it's not looking like that anymore, but I think Cooke will be like very, very upset with not coming away with the win, especially being at home. Like we always say, they have such a pride at playing at home, and for it to be a last try at the end, I think they'll be fairly gutted. Like,
I blame the dodgy Dublin Wi-Fi for the end of that. I've had my own
I
issues.
know, I'm
with my
afraid
own
one of
Wi-Fi
the dogs is bleeding chewing it or something, and one of them is doing tap dancing, and one of them's after jumping on the other. I'm having a mare here.
But it was actually Enniskillen that they would have played in the playoffs last year.
Enniskillen. It was
And
Enniskillen Barnhall that was there, but as well, and it was Enniskillen Barnhall this year. If Enniskillen were the team to beat last year against Ennis, and Barnhall have just won them now, it has me wondering, are Ennis and Barnhall on the same level now? Like if or when Barnhall come up, will they be doing the same performances as Ennis? And it'll be interesting to see, you know.
yeah, because I suppose Ennis kind of came up. They were kind of like, okay, look, we're going to see what way things are going to go. And a lot of teams could have underestimated them, Stacey, kind of coming into the season with what way they were going to perform. But they've really, really done quite well. Like that draw against Belvo, we mentioned last week, was probably the result of their season to date. They've obviously grabbed 4 wins as well, and great results, and put it up to other teams. Like they really give you the battle of it as well, and you'll be playing them this weekend. We'll preview those games in a few minutes time, but like they've really done well, and I think while they are in 7th place, like they can get a few more results now in these last 5 games, like they could be knocking on the door to close the gap to yourselves in Wicklow.
Yeah, like they've shown that there's no reason why they can't do well in any of their last few games. They really did prove kind of everyone wrong, and kind of shown that you can't underestimate any of the teams coming up. They just like exactly that. Like they proved everyone wrong. That's all I can really say. Like you do underestimate the teams that come up, and you do think that just because they're probably not as experienced at a higher level, that you can probably like take the game a bit easier, but not with Ennis. Like the game coming up against them this weekend, like it's anyone's game.
Last game to review before we look ahead to the round of action that's taking place this weekend was the game between Ballincollig and Old Belvedere, scheduled for Tanner Park, moved to Virgin Media Park, and here's a couple of highlights from that one. Old Belvedere underlined their top 4 credentials with a 55-7 win over Ballincollig at Virgin Media Park, running in 9 tries in the end. Belvo were out of the blocks quickly, with Emily Byrne and Aimee Clarke both crossing inside the opening 7 minutes, while Aideen Murtagh and Byrne again added further tries as the Dubliners surged into a commanding lead, with Ellen Jane O'Sullivan-Sexton accurate from the kicking tee. Ballincollig grabbed their opening try when Aoife Fleming finished just before the half-time break, converted by Fia Whelan, but Belvedere would hold a 31-7 advantage at the interval, with Murtagh grabbing her second try of the half in the burning embers. The second half followed in a similar pattern, with Jess Keating, Alicia Flynn and Katie Corrigan all getting on the score sheet, while Lauren added her second in the final play. Hazel Simmons and O'Sullivan Sexton added a conversion each in the second half. Full highlights of this game are available on the IRFU YouTube channel. So Belvo come out 55-7 winners in the end, and we spoke a couple of weeks back about the likes of Aimee Clarke and Katie Corrigan's influence on a Belvo team. Aimee, they're back at the weekend and helped themselves to scores on the board, and Belvo looked really impressive, and it was definitely a game that they had to put in a good performance in after that defeat to Galwegians the game prior.
Yeah, I'd say they came out feeling very much like they had a point to prove. And a lot of Belvo scores came from kick receipts, so Ballincollig kicking the ball and at Belvo, but like the likes of Aimee Clarke played for Kildare for football, and Katie Corrigan played it as well growing up. So if you're kicking the ball into these hands of the GAA players, like they're going to do something with it. And the likes of Jade Gaffney being back into 9, like she's lightning quick and she's got a fantastic pass. And her and Ellie would play together. I think they played 20s together, and they would have played Leinster together as well. So for like you're having players on the pitch that are playing 12 months of the year together, like they're not having this gap of interpros where one plays for one club and one plays for the other. And I thought they played really well. I thought they're like a lot of Belvo scores came from kicking, which like was very, very good. Like, and even the one Aimee got, it was Ellie kicked it and Aimee just volleyed on it again and just kept going after it. It was a fantastic try. But again, what will happen when them players go? Like, where will they be will they be in with Celtic Cup this weekend again, or when contracted players get brought back in, are they going to be gone? Who will be there? Let's, it's Belvo's a team that gets caught with it a lot, that they have players like coming and going. It's like a revolving door of players, like, and when they have everybody, they're phenomenal. And then when these players kind of go again, cracks start to show, and like not massive cracks, you know what I mean? Like, and not by any means big cracks, but you can feel a presence missing when these players aren't playing with them,
Absolutely. And I suppose, like, looking at, you mentioned it there, like Jade coming in and Ellie being, I suppose, the 9 and 10 partnership this week, like there was that little bit of a change in there, but like when they got those players in, it certainly makes the difference. And those Celtic Challenge players are probably end up coming back this weekend. We kind of have to wait and see what way the teams kind of transpire. I know Belvoir playing on Friday night this week. We'll see what way that will affect things as well. But from their perspective, they do have a lot of depth as well. I know the likes of, Leslie's injured at the moment, but, Aideen Murtagh's stepped up and grabbed herself 2 tries in that game as well. So they have those players that can come in. And I suppose talking to Emma last week on the pod, like they don't want to be fourth. They want to go up to third and try and get there. And they have a wealth of players that they can get those results, Aimee, if they need to.
Yeah, the big time, sure. Like they got the results against us at the start of the season, and they've continued to get results as well. I know Leslie's injured, so she is a massive presence that's lost, and we wish her the best of luck in a recovery and a speedy recovery at that. But even, yeah, it's just, I think they need more of the consistency. I think when they get their players back, I think it should be a more consistent squad. Like you get used to playing with the players you're with, if you have somebody coming in and like I know like Amy learns lightning quick in fullback and you trust her, when it swaps to somebody else, will that trust still be there because you haven't played with them, or they're not at the same level of standard, Sorry, he's having a fucking mare. I don't know what's up with him. But it's just, yeah, I think, I don't know. I always say about when the internationals come back as well, like teams do change, and not necessarily always for the better. So it's just, I think Belvoir are a team that's going to have to play it game by game, and like Shrimpy Emma is phenomenal, but she's one of them hybrid players that can play in the backs and forwards, and I think a lot of Belvoir's players are like that. So it'd be interesting to see when it comes to the last kind of 5 games of the season how everything's shaping up,
That's it. I suppose from the Ballincollig perspective, Stacey, that they'll be disappointed with the way the game had transpired. They had, I suppose, put in some impressive performances since the second half of the season got underway, and we're just trying to, put Belvo under pressure, but just not going in that regard. And when, like Amy's alluded to there, like for Belvo now, like there's still a lot of pressure on them because they have guys behind them that are looking to get a couple of points on the board and get a few results, but also they'll just want to try and kick on. And from the Ballincollig perspective, like they'll want to get a few results just to, I suppose, finish higher up the table than they did last year.
Yeah, Ballincollig will be disappointed with that result. I think they probably would have hoped for a closer score, a closer fight. And like just from Amy saying like that a lot of Belvo's scores came from the kick receipts. So like Fia Whelan's been playing really well at 10 for Ballincollig, and her kicking game is really good, but your kick's only as good as your chase. So like if you're not keeping the ball down once you have kicked, if you don't have the line speed chasing and keeping the players like Aimee Lerner, Kate Gargan, keeping them down the field, it is going to just result in scores. So that's probably something that Ballincollig will look to work on. To like when you do have a player that has a good boot, you need to have the chase up to scratch as well. So like there is no point in just kicking possession away. They'll want to probably work on that, and if they do, then hopefully they can come out with more scores than they did against Belvo. I know their score was from Aoife Fleming. It was a massive carry up. She's probably about 10, well, maybe more than 10 meters away. She carried through loads of players. Like, so Ballincollig have the forwards and the backs there and the talent. Hopefully they can just narrow down kind of their game plan, and they'll be able to put more scores on other teams coming up.
Before we just take a look at the way the league table has shaping up after the last week's round of action, before we head into this week, I managed to catch up with the Ennis out half Megan O'Connor just to have a chat about how the debutants have got on this season and after their heart-stopping result away to Cooke. So here's what she had to say. 13 games into their debut season in the Energia All-Ireland League Women's Division, and Ennis sits 7th place in the table and are coming off the back of a very hard-earned win, a last-gasp try against Cooke at the weekend, handing them their 4th win of the season. Delighted to be joined by their out-half, Megan O'Connor. Megan, it's been, I suppose, a dream season for Ennis. Did you imagine coming into the start of the season how well things would have developed?
Not at all. We were just hoping to maybe go out and annoy teams, maybe put a result up like against some teams, but not to go out winning them. We were just hoping to annoy teams.
And you look at the results that you've gotten, obviously beating Cooke at home and away. You've got the result against Tullow in the first game of the season. That was a dream start for any club to make their debut in a competition and win the first game. Then you made it 2 in a row, defeating, a very experienced Ballincollig team. And then probably the best result of the season, even though you didn't win it, the draw against Belvo and on home soil. Like, when that result came in, like, I think a lot of people raised their eyebrows, say, Ennis are here to play. They're not here just to make up the numbers.
Yeah, I think the old Bevel shock, like the old Bevel draw, it was. I think we were more shocked than everyone else when the final whistle blew, because we were so close at the end. It was literally a knock on away from us scoring a try. Like, we could have won that match if we really wanted to, but it wasn't meant to be our day. We celebrated as if we won it, but I think it's a day that a lot of us will never forget.
And that's kind of something that I suppose you've really put women's rugby in Clare on the map. I know we've had some standout rugby players have come from Clare, but you're not only the first women's rugby team, but the first rugby team from Clare to play in the AIL. And I suppose to have come up this year, there was a lot of pride behind it. And you've definitely flown the flag well for women's rugby in the county, and with the 5 games now left in the season, I'm sure you'll want just to end the season on a high as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. We love playing matches at home. We love having the home support, even on away days. Like, just proving like there's rugby just as good down in Clare as there is in Limerick or up in Dublin. Like, we know we're meant to be where we are.
I know kind of maybe a couple of years ago, women's rugby in Clare probably wasn't at the same level as it was now. You think not that long ago, Ennis Kilrush became the team and you were battling through the Munster divisions. And then last year, of course, got promotion to the AIL. Kilrush has been dropped off the club name, but it's still part of Clare. You're not just representing Ennis, you're representing, the whole of the county. There's girls that are coming from all walks of Clare that are coming in and putting on that jersey, and the same with the supporters that are coming through the gates of your home games, but your away games as well.
Yeah, like we're all scattered around Clare, and to like put on the Ennis jersey as a Clare team, like we have so much pride in our jersey. We do wish we could wear the Kilrush socks still, but that's for another day. That's for another battle. Maybe one day we'll get to wear them again, but we'll see.
As well, like when you look at your squad, obviously you have players that have played in the AIL before and have had a couple of minutes here and there when they were playing kind of dual status with yourselves. From your own perspective, coming into the competition this year, what was the main differences from, say, when you've been playing junior level in Munster to that kind of first couple of games, and then obviously coming up against, say, the likes of the UL Bows, the Railways, the Black Rocks and the Belvos, who've been those traditional top 4 powerhouses for the last couple of seasons?
When we first started, we were all kind of like, we thought we were going in being strong. We're like, yeah, we think we have it. And then playing the first few matches, we realized how much intensity, like how much more intense it is. Like it was crazy, especially coming up from junior, like playing the same teams, getting big scores. Like it's not the same as what we're used to now. And like coming up against like the big teams with the big names, like at the start we were terrified. We're going up against internationals that we've idolized for years, and then coming up against them and playing the match, then we might be scared, but at the end of the day it's just a name. We play on with the match, we put our heads down, and we just try as hard as we can.
Yeah. Talk to me about the Cooke game at the weekend. I know you won 31-27. Cooke were ahead for a while, and then you managed to get a try in the closing stages. Aimee Donnelly going over. Was that more of just a relief or elation when she goes over and you managed to get that result? Because that looked like a very, very tough game. We'd said it on the podcast last week, just how Shawsbridge is a very tough place to go, and Cooke were a very tough team, and you had a very tough battle with them on home soil at the start of the season as well.
Yeah, I think it was, we all kind of were relieved when Avian crossed that line. We thought she was going to get her 4 again, but we were happy when she got her 3. But the relief kind of went off our shoulders. We knew there was only a certain amount of minutes left. We knew we had to get points on the board. It's always tough to play away, especially not from home, but to make the journey up, Cooke at home, obviously they have pride playing at their pitch at home, but for us we knew we had to put the shift in, especially after last week, like 2 weeks ago playing Blackrock. Like we knew we could have emptied the tank a bit more, and that's what we made sure we did this week, to make sure that we cross that line, we keep going, and we keep going to the very, very end, make sure we get that extra point on the board.
I know you'll have 5 games now left to play in the season. Obviously, it's not going to be in one big block. We're going to have smaller blocks and a bit of rest period in between. But you have the likes of Galweeds now at home this weekend. You're away to Bowes, home to Wicklow, away to Ballincollig, and then you've signing off the season at home to Tullow in round 18. So 3 home games left out of the 5. And I'm sure from your perspective, look, you've 22 points on the board now. Like that's a very good achievement for any, debutant team in a competition. But I'm sure you'll be targeting, it's obviously targeted 1 game at a time, but I'm sure you will be looking to pick up a couple of more results and get a few more points. And you're only 9 points behind Galwegians on the table going into this weekend, 8 points behind Wicklow. So sky's the limit for you guys at the moment.
Yeah, like we know we're a way better team than what we were at the start. Like we've found our rhythm now. We know what we did wrong the last day, and like what we can improve on, and how much we've improved on what was wrong. Like we're trying our hardest to try fix all of our little mistakes. We take it 1 game at a time, make sure we review the week before or whatever match was before it, make sure we touch up on stuff that we want to touch up on, and making sure that once it comes to the match day, we're fully focused on hopefully getting more points on the board and hopefully coming out with the win, especially at home.
I know, having spoken to Michaela not that long ago, kind of going into the second half of this season, kind of reflecting on those first 9 games, the scoreboard really doesn't tell a lot when it comes to those games. And I know you've come up against the likes of, as I mentioned, those top 4 powerhouses. Obviously got the draw at home to Belleville, and then it was a very close game when you played them in the reverse. And the home game against Blackrock, Blackrock were all praised for you with how they played against you down in Ennis. And we've seen teams when they've come up, those scoreboards aren't exactly kind when you come up against those teams. But you've really, I know the results didn't go the way you would have liked, and it was a fairly one-sided result on the scoreboard. But I think you can take an awful lot from those games against those powerhouse teams, and now kind of work them in. And it's still only a first season, and try and look now to next season, and try and push on and develop as a club as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. We know, like, a lot of the matches that we've played, especially against the big teams, like, not that they wrote us off or anything, but like we knew we were going out, we were going to try our absolute hardest against them and give them like at least some sort of battle, like especially against Blackrock, like to draw at half time. Like we knew ourselves that we needed to put an extra shift in. We wanted to let them know that they're at our home ground, like with any other game. Like they're in our home turf. They were showing them what we were made of.
And your squad as well, like you're a very young team. Like a lot of you are in your mid to early 20s, and there's girls that are in their teens as well that are coming into the club as well. So for such a young team, like that development is there. I suppose you haven't really hit that glass ceiling yet. Like you can try and showcase for a first season to be seventh in the league table. With, I suppose, mathematically you can still go up to fifth place in the table depending on how these results go now in the next 5 games. So I'm sure it's been a very positive season, and you'd like to keep going with this positive mentality. And I suppose for women's rugby in Clare and Ennis as a whole, like it's just all positive signs ahead now for the future.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like we still have girls. We've some girls sitting leaving cert and everything. Like they're only just getting started, and since we are such a young team, like hopefully we'll have girls that hang around for another few years, and we'll be still in the AIL, showing the other teams like that we're well able to compete. Like I think we're just as shocked as everyone else that like how well we're actually doing, and we don't realize that sometimes that like it's only our first year up here, and we're actually doing what most teams didn't do their first year. We don't really put into perspective that like we're actually doing as good as we think we are.
Well, we'll have to see what way these last few games go. Of course, the first of which at home to Galwegians at the now changed time of 12 o'clock on Saturday. That's going to be an interesting one. And then, of course, 4 big games to see out the season. Megan, thanks very much for coming on our Women's Rugby podcast this week, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you.
And taking a look at the league table after the weekend, UL Bows still top of the table, 13 wins from 13, 64 points on the board. Blackrock in second with 12 wins from their 13 games with 60 points. Railway continuing their winning streak to 10 games to sit third with 50 points, and just a point behind them is Old Belvedere in fourth. Fifth place, Galwegians with 31 points. Wicklow in sixth with 30. Ennis in seventh with 22. Ballincollig eighth with 16. Cooke down in ninth spot with 7 points. The losing bonus point from the weekend, an impressive return for them to steer the gap away from Tullow in 10th on 2 points. Taking a look at the fixtures then for this weekend, Old Belvedere and Tullow get us underway at 7:30 on Friday evening in Ollie Campbell Park. On Saturday, Ennis host Galwegians at 12 down in Drumbiggle. Railway and Ballincollig will do battle in Park Avenue at the same time. Cooke take on UL Bows at 3:30 in Shaw's Bridge. That game has been moved from the original 5 o'clock time, while Blackrock host Wicklow in Stradbrook with a 5 o'clock kickoff time. So it'll be around 14 of action on the 14th of February. There'll be no love lost on the pitch, that's for sure, with the level of competition. We'll start with the game that's going to kick off the weekend in the form of Belvo and Tullow. That's going to get us underway Friday night. Can't remember the last Friday night game we had in the women's division. Definitely a long time of asking, but Belvo, impressed against Ballincollig. Aimee got their scores really well, and will be looking to put up another good performance against Tullow to get potentially 5 big points on the board to try and keep that I suppose alleviate that pressure of potentially missing out on a semi-final this year.
Yeah, definitely. I think Belvo will do really well if they keep the ball through hands against Tullow, and really test their kind of defence. And like Belvo have strong carriers all over the park, so they're really going to have to test the tackle tech of the girls in Tullow. But we've seen Tullow score phenomenal tries from kick receipts, like, so that's what, if I was Fee, I'd be thinking of keeping the ball in hand and just hammer down the door and just keep going,
Yeah, I suppose the way we seen the way Tullow, when they tried to clear the ball the last day and the way that Blackrock got down the wing, it's not to say that Aimee and Katie will be available for Belvo, but they do have other players that are lightning quick, Aimee, that they can get down the wing, but they also have those big ball carriers that if they're knocking on the door throughout the game, like Tullow will have to really, really answer and try and keep the scores to a minimum.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's kind of all coming now. Like if Tullow can get a win, it like the relegation game between themselves and whoever, or you don't know what way it's going to go. Sorry, I'm just assuming that it's going to be them. But if they get this win the weekend, like it'll be a big morale boost, like an absolutely massive morale boost. I know. So like nobody goes into games thinking they're going to lose or thinking they're going to come out without a result. So I think they'll be going in and again just hoping to get some points on the board, and keep their points to a minimum.
Yeah, because the points at the moment, Stacey, like every point is kind of crucial when you look at there is a gap between the likes of Ballincollig and Cooke at the bottom end of the table, but it's 5 points now between Cooke and Tullow. So, you'll have one eye on the game in Shaw's Bridge that we'll touch on between Cooke and Bowes to see if they can get a point or get something out of that game and get a result there. But if Tullow can leave Ollie Campbell Park with a result, it would be huge, like a big result to kick off the weekend of action. But for them as well, like they can get a bonus point in some way, shape, or form, or any form of a point. Like it really does, I suppose, set the scene for the remaining half of the season.
Yeah, with the bottom of the table being so close, every point does make a difference. So exactly that, like Tullow are going to try and come out with something. So whether that's a losing bonus point or whether they can get the win, that's like 5 points between Tullow and Cooke. That's really going to like set the standard kind of for the bottom of the table and only kind of create more of a competition there and a fight. So as well, I suppose depends on the kind of team Belvo put out. But like you said, like loads of Belvo scores this week were from kick receipts. So Tullow will probably have to be careful about that. So they might like to kick, but again, you have to chase it down to stop Belvo exploiting the space. So it'll be just be interesting to see how it goes. Tullow will just have to keep in the fight as much as they can, hold out as many scores as they can, and try and get over the line.
Turning our attention to Saturday, then your first trip down to play Ennis, Stacey, like I suppose they've proven really, really strong at home. Like they held Belvo to the draw. They were level with Blackrock at home as well before Blackrock just kind of pulled away in the second half. And they'll be looking to get another big result for their season this weekend against you guys. But I suppose you spoke about it, the team meeting and the team morale, and you will have another meeting, I suppose, just before you make the trip down and everything like that, and you'll be trying to target a much improved performance from the one against UL Bowes last Saturday.
Yeah, we definitely do want to get back to winning ways, and I think we really will want to focus on our attitude, and hopefully if we have the right attitude, a better performance will come. And we are looking forward to go down to Ennis and playing there for the first time. We know they are tough to play at home, like those other teams have had tough matches against them at home, so it will be interesting to see, but I think we are looking forward to it. I do think it will be a closer fight as well, with Ennis only improving throughout the season. So it'll be interesting to see how the score goes this time compared to before, because like they were a strong side before, and it does look like they are only getting stronger. So it'll be a good challenge. It's a good challenge for both teams, I think, and opportunities for both of us. But obviously, we don't want Ennis closing down on us on the table. So we'll be really hoping to get the win away.
Absolutely. And I suppose surface wise, obviously you'll be playing on grass, and probably similar to Crowley Park, like every grass pitch in Ireland is going to be mucky and puddly at this time of year. So depending on the conditions and if it stays dry as well throughout the game, it could be it could be a game where there mightn't be a whole lot of kick receipts being for both teams. It might just be kind of like the game against Bows, where they are knocking on the door, they are being camped. You're going to have to defend really well and try and hold a team like Ennis up, and they've got a really powerful pack. They've got fast ball carriers as well, and like yourselves, you've got a very strong side as well. So toss of a coin, like it really is shaping up to be a very, very close game between yourselves and Ennis this weekend, Stacey.
Yeah, that is the kind of game that I think we're kind of expecting. Probably a wet, mucky pitch. Like if the pitches are anything like they were last night at training, like it is going to be just a mud bath. So I do think it will be a similar kind of game where it's trying to keep mostly the forwards kind of out when we're in our own 22, and it's really going to come down to that like line speed and defense and making your tackles. There probably won't be too much kicking. We could be surprised, but I do think it's going to kind of come down to just that, like playing the ball, running the ball and responding in the defensive line, just trying to kind of mostly keep the forwards out. And then if the forwards do suck all the opposition forwards in defence, it's up to the backs then to make those one-off tackles. I think that's probably what it'll come down to. And I'd say both sides, it'll be probably the same that Ennis will be dealing with us. If the conditions are wet and mucky, that's just the kind of game it'll be. But probably will suit both teams as well, so that's why it'll be a good match. We're both used to the bad weather and the soft pitches, so we'll see what it'll be like.
I know, Aimee, your pitch resembled Duck Pond last week with the level of rain that came in Dublin. I suppose the rain has gone away, and the pitches are going to be playable in Railway this weekend. You obviously have Ballincollig, and you would have seen the way that Belvo performed against them. They're making the trip up now. You'll obviously want to keep the results going to try and secure third spot in the table, if not try and close that gap to Blackrock in second, the way that those last 5 games will go as well. Every point is going to be crucial for every team, regardless of what position they are in the league table. But you'll be looking to get another strong performance against Ballincollig, but not to underestimate them as well.
Yeah, I'd look. You can never underestimate a team, and as soon as you do that, you've already lost the game. But yes, the pitch is okay. We trained on it last night. We survived. I'm picking muck out of my nose, but we survived. Yeah, Ballincollig, it's not a team you can assume you'll come out against with a win. You can't do that with anybody. It's actually I'm not around the weekend. I'm working, and it's one of the games that I'm gutted I'm gonna miss, because they're a really exciting team to play against. Like you're well used to playing against the teams like I've played against Bows for years, I've played against Belvo for years, I've played against Weegens for years, and I know Ballincollig have been up the last 3-4 years, but they're still a really exciting team. You don't know what's going to come up with them. Like they have so many young girls coming up, they have so many girls transferring over from different sports coming in, that like it's a really exciting game, and it's always fantastic to play against them.
Like, I don't know if you got the camera fixed since the last game, but we have no highlights of yourself now to look forward to for next week.
What are we going to talk about? We'll have nothing to talk about.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's not just there's 4 other games this weekend on, or Celtic Challenge or anything. No. Amy's not playing. We might as well just forget about next week.
To cancel the league.
Yeah, game over. We're not gonna talk about anything else. But we'll go straight into Wicklow and Blackrock. That's going to be another big game for both teams. Like, Blackrock are doing really, really well. They have home advantage against Wicklow, but like Wicklow have always wanted to get those results against top 4 teams, and I suppose they can take an awful lot from that game, Stacey, against Railway last weekend, and just try and maybe right those wrongs and try and put more points on the board and give Blackrock a real tough time of things.
Yeah, I'd say the disappointment of not scoring last week will kind of spur Wicklow on. They'll look to kind of change that this weekend against Blackrock, which obviously won't be easy though. Like the teams Blackrock's putting out, and like you said, the depth of that squad, it's never easy going to play them at home. So Wicklow will probably just, that'll probably be their aim, to just kind of, I suppose, do better than last week. That's as simple as that. It's kind of probably the only thing that they can do. The easiest, you don't want a million fixes, a million things to try and change. So that's probably if you're to pick one work on, it would probably be that.
Yeah, like Blackrock will probably be just looking to solidify second place and try and get a home semi-final, or try and jump above Bows in the table as well. But Bows have their own big game this weekend, Aimee, heading up to Cooke. They've been high scoring in the past, but as we get to the business end of the season, Cooke will probably be having their own little bit of meetings this week, kind of saying, we need to get points on the board and try and make sure that Tullow don't chase us, and no better time to do it than a home game against the defending champions.
Yeah, and like it's what I said earlier. You can't assume anybody's going to win a game, because as soon as you do that, the game is gone. We've always said that Cooke are a hard team to play up in Cooke. I think they're going to be fairly evenly matched in the pack. I think it's the backs that will really kind of dictate the game for them. But also saying that weather conditions can completely change that as well. If it's a wet crap day, it'll be up the jumper kind of ball, and the backs won't get a look in, But I think Bows will be looking to get a bonus point. The more points that Bows can get, the further away they are, the more guaranteed a home semi-final they will be. And when it's starting to come to these games, or come to the end of the season, you're playing these games. Like, no game is more important than the game you're playing right now. But I think they will have a little view of the last kind of 3 games of the season. Because although, yeah, they won the opposite fixture at the start, if they don't start performing in games now for them games later on, they could get very lax. And I'm not saying they will. It's just it's a possibility. They could get lax. They could get relaxed, and easy points that were coming against teams that were lower down the table aren't going to come against teams that are higher up. So it'll be like, I think they're going to have to start treating every game now like it's the AIL final, and they're going to have to be really, really clinical. And like, Bows are a clinical team, so it's just kind of enforcing good behaviours, or reinforcing, I suppose.
Yeah, so that's how this weekend is going to shape up across the Energia All-Ireland League Women's Division. Before we give just a quick look at the return to action for the Celtic Challenge this weekend. A couple of episodes ago, we had Erin King on from the Wolfhounds perspective, and this week I managed to catch up with Anna McGann from the Clover setup to see just how the preparation has gone for them ahead of another big game this weekend. And I'm delighted to be joined by member of the Clover squad, Anna McGann. I know you're not going to be playing this week, Anna, but it's a big return now for the Clovers, and a busy trip now to head over to Wales to take on Gwalia Lightning.
Yeah, definitely a big weekend for us as the Clovers. Gwalia have been really good in this competition so far, and they've been building quite well. So last time we came out the good side of the result, so hopefully we can do the same this weekend, but it's definitely going to be a big challenge for us.
They're a very tough side, and they've had, so as you mentioned, like, they've had really good results. And like you said, that game that I suppose kicked off the Celtic Challenge was a very tough game in Energia Park, and there'll be no underestimating what Gwalia are going to bring, especially in their home patch.
Yeah, definitely. They're a really physical side, really strong. The Welsh always are, and they're really hearty. So going away to play them is always a difficult one. But yeah, I've full faith in the girls that we can get the job done this weekend, albeit it will be a very tight one, I'd say.
And the squad have a couple of injuries as well, and there'll be a few players missing out on this weekend for this game. But there's plenty of depth there. There's so many even younger players that have come into the Clover setup this year that are really, I suppose, putting the hand up for selection, and will try and get their chance now to impress this Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. We've unfortunately had to deal with a lot of injury from the get-go of this competition, and there've been a lot of moving parts, and newer, younger players coming in to fill spots. But like us as senior players, have been so impressed with the younger girls, the way they've come in and just filled in spots like they've been there the whole time. Yeah, there's been a lot of moving parts in our squad throughout the whole competition, but I think that probably shows, even though so much was moving, we still got the results and we were still able to come out the right side of it. So, it gives me full confidence that the girls can go away and do another job this weekend. And we've got a couple of girls coming back from injury as well. So it really is an exciting time for us. If you look at the likes of Ailish Quinn and Jemima, seeing them come into the squad and just absolutely thrive, and they're so young and they've so much ahead of them. It is unbelievable to see. And it's really exciting. So I know Ailish only got 20 minutes off the bench last weekend, but she'll hopefully be getting more this weekend, and seeing her build into the competition will be unbelievable as well after being out for a good while in injury. So yeah, no, it's an exciting weekend for us, and for those young girls as well to be able to put their hands up.
Yeah, you've like the likes of even Shifra Hession, who's in the middle of doing her mocks, and she's competing for the Celtic Challenge. She's in her debut season with Galwegians in the AIL as well. Like it's great that these players can get the chance to to get exposure to international rugby in a competition like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Shifra, she must have had a ball in hand from when she was born, because she just has that natural rugby ability, and she's a really exciting player and somebody who I think will grow really well in this competition. And she gets a class opportunity this weekend to start against Squalia. And she actually she came off the bench against Squalia in the first game. So, she has minutes behind her, and we have full faith in her as our 10 to go and do a job for us. But yeah, she definitely is an exciting player and one to watch.
Absolutely. And I suppose for the Connacht players amongst the group, like the next game being in the Dexcom is probably one that a lot of those players are looking forward to. I'm sure you'll be hoping that you'll be returning from injury and get a chance to line out with the the way they've redeveloped the stadium out in Galway.
Yeah, absolutely. The stadium is incredible. We've been fortunate enough to be able to train there throughout the competition, and seeing it being built and just waiting for it to be opened, it's been unbelievable. So yeah, I think especially for the Connacht cohort, it'll be really exciting to get to play in the stadium. And yeah, hopefully it's the first of many.
You've had quite, I suppose, the busy life, because you've had obviously the on-field commitments with the Clovers and obviously with Ireland as well before that, but also off the field, you're involved with your own jewelry business, and of course TikTok has just completely taken off. Like the World Cup, the way that went. I think you're the best person that players can ask for coffee recommendations as well. So how have you found the whole social media thing within the last 12 months? Because you had been doing it prior to the World Cup, but it just absolutely exploded.
Yeah, I suppose the World Cup probably just highlighted how social media can be used and for such an advantage for, I suppose, brands and for players themselves. Uh, it just blew up, and it was mad between me and Eve and Canterbury and that whole thing during the World Cup. But yeah, I think it probably highlighted to a lot of brands and how valuable female athletes are, and how there's really something that they could, I suppose, explore and venture down that way, going with female athletes as ambassadors or whatnot for their brands. So yeah, although it was like a bit of crack from the start, I suppose it probably turned into something that everybody went, oh, there's probably something here, there's something more. Um and like, even if you look at Ilona Maher with USA, like she was probably the first female rugby player to actually go out there and do it and put themselves out there on social media, and she's made a career out of it, and it's been insane. So yeah, I guess it honestly has just been a bit of crack for us. I love doing it. It's a bit of crack. I don't deep it too much, and whatever comes from it comes from it. But yeah, it's been a bit of fun outside of rugby, I suppose.
Because from your own, I suppose, aspect, like obviously putting yourself out on social media can be quite daunting maybe for some people, but you were quite shy when you were younger as well. I know a couple of people have said it in the past that for someone who, probably wouldn't have done it, say 5 or 6 years ago, to now be, the way that thing went with the fleece and everything, and the way all the videos came up about it and everything to date, that maybe documenting aspects of social media was probably something that you never thought might have come from this.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, like you said, I was such a shy kid growing up, and even into my early 20s, I was so shy and just quiet. But I suppose between rugby and different adversities in life, I've kind of learned that I've kind of come out of my shell a little bit more, and yeah, kind of really grown into the person that I am today. So yeah, it's definitely easier when you do it with a friend and doing those videos and stuff. We always just have a bit of crack with it, and yeah, I guess I probably just don't deep it too much. That is, you nearly forget as well, because I know when we came home from the World Cup, you're in this bubble with like your team and stuff, and like, you're putting things on social media and you can see the views and whatever, but you don't really actually put that into perspective. And then I suppose when we came home and everyone was like, oh, like you did really well at the World Cup, and oh, the old TikTok and stuff, and you're kind of like, oh, you kind of forget that everybody can actually see that. But yeah, it definitely just has been a bit of crack for us and a bit of fun, and a couple of cool things have come from it, and there'll be a few things coming in 2026 that'll be really exciting as well. So yeah, it's really opened doors, I guess, and opportunities for us. So yeah, so far it's been quite positive.
Talk to me about the World Cup experience. I know a couple of months back I spoke to Aimee Clarke just about the experience of being over there. The Green Wave that was supporting you guys over there. Like, women's rugby in Ireland, maybe a few years prior, wasn't in the same space that it was around that World Cup. But do you think that after that campaign, that the publicity that you got, and the way that maybe the female sport got exposed to a vast majority in Ireland, has just grown it considerably, that we'll just see a lot more girls now picking up a rugby ball at their local clubs at underage level, and try and be the next generation of Irish players?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that was our plan going over to the World Cup and leading up to the World Cup. It's always that we want to inspire the next generation. And we knew that the World Cup was going to be a massive opportunity to do that, because only across in England, like, it was so accessible to Irish fans. And even at that, like, we have to put so much effort into growing the women's game, that when we were going over there, we knew the importance of it. And like you said, we talk about our green wave all the time, and we want to bring people along with us. And yeah, I guess the World Cup as a whole was just a massive opportunity to do that. And I really think we did. But I think the most important thing now is to actually keep that growth going and keep building off of that. I do think you can see it. Like, hopefully there are so many more young girls going to pick up a rugby ball now, because they've seen the World Cup and they've seen us at the World Cup and stuff like that. And I think, as much as TikTok was all just a bit of crack and having fun, like, it actually did have an impact on the women's game, and it did have an impact on more fans coming to games. And people were saying it to us that they probably wouldn't have come to a game, only they saw us all on TikTok. And when you can associate a person and a personality with, oh, they're actually a rugby player as well, that brought a different cohort of fans that we probably wouldn't have tapped into at all. So that was unbelievable to see, and that was across in England. And then you come home and you see how excited, like, the young girls are in clubs, that we were at a World Cup and we did this, that, and the other. And as much as we didn't get to where we wanted to in that World Cup, we wanted to be in the semi-final and the final, but they don't see that. They just see, wow, look at these incredible women that went across, competed in a World Cup, got to a quarter final. Like, it really feels like it is only the start for women's rugby. And I suppose if those young girls can see that at a young age, in 10 years' time, I feel like women's rugby is going to be in an unbelievable place.
And even that, like, your own journey as well, like, it wasn't rugby was the first sport. You had been playing hockey, and then all of a sudden it was a transition from hockey into rugby. Like, how did you find that transition? I know you were involved with Railway, and then obviously moved into the Irish setup, and now you're where you are. But how did you find, I suppose, the first couple of years moving from a different sport that you, I suppose, didn't really grow up around?
Yeah, absolutely. It was completely brand new for me. Yeah, I always say I tripped and fell into rugby, but I literally did. I was hell bent on being an Irish hockey player, and that was the only way forward for me. And my dad suggested just going down to give rugby a try to make me a little bit fitter, faster, stronger for hockey, because I was making the Connacht team, but I wasn't even getting a look into Ireland, and they wanted me to, I suppose, tap into something maybe that would just give me an extra edge. So yeah, I started rugby down with my local club in Buccaneers in Athlone, and I was scouted by a Connacht scout for the Irish Sevens team. And in the space of 4 weeks, I went from fully being involved in hockey to being offered a rugby sevens contract. So that kind of changed my whole perspective on it, and it was a huge opportunity that I suppose my life could have gone one of two ways. Like, so yeah, I went with the rugby and never looked back really. And sevens kind of shaped me into the rugby player that I am today. And there's no doubt that I don't know if I'd be playing rugby if I never played sevens. So um yeah, it was a whirlwind of a couple of months, but I found my feet, and the girls were unbelievable. The team was class. We were a really tight knit team on the sevens. And yeah, I played club with Railway then when I was up in Dublin. And JC, John Cronin, was probably the one person who really, I suppose, took my talent and went, we can make an Irish 15s player out of you as well. So he probably made it his project to get me into the 15 squad, and I did, and I made my debut in 2022, I think, or 21, at flank, which I don't think I go back to now, but we all start somewhere. But yeah, that definitely was a big turning point for my career again, I suppose, in thinking that, yeah, maybe 15s is for me as well as sevens. So yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy career, I suppose. It could have gone so many different ways. I'm very grateful that it's gone the way it has. And yeah, I'm really excited for the next couple of years to come as well.
Yeah, I think like perseverance is probably a word that you could describe your career as well. Like you've had a lot of injury setbacks, you've had to deal with grief as well, and a couple of other bits. But like, how did you find, I suppose, stepping onto the field for the first time at the World Cup last summer, just being like, I've arrived on a World Cup stage when, like you said, it was about maybe the 21-22 season. You were putting on a Railway jersey in the AIL.
Yeah, it was a very surreal moment, and a very, like, I suppose, overwhelming as well. Because there's so much that goes into prepping for the World Cup, and like, it's years in the making, and then it's kind of all just in one moment you get to step out onto the pitch. And I think, I suppose, leading into the World Cup, I wasn't really sure about selection. I wasn't sure what way it was going to go. There was a lot of anxiety around that. And I suppose, having missed out on the Olympics as well, very narrowly, I had that anxiety about that as well. So I was like, oh, is this going to be another one of those where, I just miss out, or there's an injury, or, like you said, unfortunately, very injury prone. I love rugby, but my body really doesn't. So yeah, there was a lot that kind of went on leading up to it. So when I kind of got that moment to stand out in the pitch and go, no, I actually am here, like, this is it. It was incredible. It was surreal. It felt like about 8 years in the making, really, to get me there. So yeah, very special moment, and one I'll definitely cherish.
And like, coming off that, obviously, look, we're coming to, I suppose, the tail end of the Celtic Challenge now, and both teams have done really well to date, and we'll try and get some more results now this weekend. And obviously, you will look forward then to a Six Nations campaign, and I suppose that the future is bright, not only for yourself but for women's rugby in Ireland. And I'm sure there is a lot of chatter and a lot of buzz about that Six Nations campaign around the corner, and like, a lot of spectators have already secured their tickets, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot more coming through the turnstiles, for those big home games, and it's great to see that so much support is going to be behind you guys this year.
Yeah, I think the Six Nations coming up is just incredibly exciting. Like I said, we want to build off the World Cup. We want to bring fans along. We want fans to come along because we're playing in the Aviva for the first time ever, and hopefully it's the first of many, and that's going to be the new home for women's rugby in Ireland, as it should. But yeah, it's going to be really exciting, and I think there still is a lot of heartache and heartbreak from the quarterfinal in the World Cup, and the fact that we get to come up against France in the Six Nations, there's an opportunity to redeem ourselves and build from that. So that's definitely on everybody's mind as well, which will make it a really exciting game. And I think this squad is generally so well that although we didn't get where we wanted to in the World Cup, like, we still put out some serious performances that we can build on. So I think the Six Nations this year for us is just going to be really exciting. So I definitely encourage anybody listening to come along, get your tickets, and come out and support us.
I know when I spoke to Erin about it, obviously she was named the new captain going into the campaign. Like, that game in the Six Nations is going to be on I suppose everyone's list to be at. And you've seen Railway been there the last 2 seasons in AIL finals, and I'm sure you'd love to get your own experience of playing in the home of Irish rugby, and hopefully over the next few years there'll be a lot more Ireland women's home games there as well.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be such an exciting time for us. I know everybody is absolutely buzzing for it, and yeah, hopefully it is just the start and the first of many.
Perfect, Anna. Listen, thanks very much for coming on the podcast this week, and best of luck with the recovery. And hopefully we see you back in a Clovers jersey next weekend in the next com.
Thanks, Emil.
So one game on Saturday for the Celtic Challenge sides and one game on Sunday. Clovers away to the Gwalia Lightning and Wolfhounds away to Glasgow on Sunday. Both sides will have had a week's break, Stacey, just to prepare. And we've seen a couple of players, I suppose, get released back into the AIL. That'll be going back into the setup and haven't been training with them since. 2 big games now for the guys this weekend that they just want to, I suppose, continue this momentum and just try and, I suppose, for the players' perspective, keep putting in those top quality performances with Six Nations selection around the corner.
Yeah, so only kind of a handful of players did get released back to the AIL. So a lot of players got a rest weekend. So I'd say it'll probably do them the world of good, and a lot of them will come back like stronger than before. Yeah, the both teams are just gonna kind of want to continue on their winning ways. And I know kind of Clovers, the wins have probably been a little bit more hard fought, so they'll probably want to kind of put in, like, make things a little bit easier for them. They'll probably want to come away with bigger wins, but obviously, like, no game is guaranteed, no win is guaranteed. So and like that, like the likes of Gwalia and Glasgow, they're both like are showing some really good displays of rugby, and showing that there are there is talent and like skill there in those teams, and they are playing really good rugby as well. So like neither game will be easy, but both teams, Clovers and Wolfhounds, they'll be looking to get good wins, I'd say.
Yeah, the 2 Irish sides, Aimee sitting first and second respectively in the table. Wolfhounds looking to extend their unbeaten run, and the Clovers just looking to pick up another win on the board. It's from the Irish perspective, it's been a very positive campaign to date, and both teams will just be looking to keep this up and keep, I suppose, momentum and morale high for those players. And great to see that these sides are doing so well on the international scene.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see. And it's kind of laying a really nice foundation to come into the Six Nations. Like a lot of the 2 Welsh sides will make up a chunk of the Welsh team, and the 2 Scottish sides will make up a chunk of the Scottish team. So I'd like they're really, really exciting games, and if they're exciting games now, you can only imagine what they're going to be like when it comes to the Six Nations. But I think everyone that's putting on, whether it be a Clovers or a Wolfhounds jersey, is also putting up their hands and saying, I deserve to be in that green jersey. Like, I deserve to be in that Six Nations camp. Like it's it's fantastic to see, and like we've talked about it before, but it really does show the level of rugby coming out of Ireland at the minute and the standards as well. Like you have a look at the girls that would have played last year, like Niamh O'Dowd and Brittany Hogan and stuff that played Wolfhounds and Clovers, played international, and now are playing in the English league as well, you know, and playing like Olympians and playing World Cup winners and stuff, playing alongside them, playing against them. And to be honest, like the players that are playing here, like that's something for them. Aoife Wafer as well is another example that's over there. She played Wolfhounds last year, you know, or the year previous, and she's over there, and like I think she's one player of the match the last 2 games with Harlequins. I think I'm near positive. So it's showing that the level of rugby in Ireland is not something to overlook and stuff, and like the players are coming out of here and putting up hands and making big impacts, and are going to make a big impact on an international stage as well, you know.
Yeah, women's rugby in Ireland is really in a good place at the moment. We've a very competitive round of fixtures this weekend across the Energia All-Ireland League Women's Division, and of course we've our two the Celtic Challenge and the Wolfhounds teams in action as well. So plenty of a debrief for next week's show. So that's it for all of us for episode number 6, and my thanks to Aimee and Stacy once again for joining us. And Aimee won't be on the pitch this weekend, but we wish Stacy all the best to try and get a result, and we'll have plenty of chats next week with the two girls to dissect another big week of Energia All-Ireland League action just before we head into the break. So we hope you've enjoyed our latest episode of the Women's Rugby Podcast here on FinalWhistle.ie, and you can stay tuned to all of our AIL coverage across our website. But until then, we'll catch you next time.